welcome back to the Build Your Own BPOS course, and thanks as always for joining me. By my calculations, we are roughly 75% through it now, and as we finished with our stock control material in the last lesson, we will be switching gears yet again and going back to some marketing and promotions topics over the next few lessons, including this one, which is going to focus on vouchers and gift certificates. Now, I'll warn you now, this one might be a little bit on the longer side, but you'll of course be able to tell by the video length. I cannot predict the future, but I am going to try to keep this to around an hour, so we'll see how that goes. Anyway, as for a quick agenda for us, we will start with just explaining a bit about vouchers and BPOS, what they are, what they can be used for, etc. Then we'll get into all, or at least most, of the voucher setups that we've got in BPOS, or in back office I should say. That will include not only the actual voucher configurations themselves, but also some other related settings throughout the system. And then we will go through some demos, which will include both issuing and redeeming vouchers and gift certificates. So, what are vouchers? You may very well have a good idea already, and I'm sure I could go with a dictionary definition, and I could tell you that a voucher is, and I quote, this is a dictionary definition, a printed piece of paper that can be used instead of money to pay for something, or that allows you to pay less than the usual price of something. That actually pretty much nails it, but it's not 100% accurate in regards to vouchers in BPOS, but it is very, very close. Now that dictionary definition also includes some examples. A voucher for a free meal is one. Then they've also got a $100 travel voucher that a company issues to their employees. And then they've got a discount voucher that entitles the bearer to 10% off their next purchase. So those are some great simple examples there. However, not an exhaustive or comprehensive list of the different types and uses of vouchers that do exist. And in BPOS, while we do have the capabilities to create and issue vouchers for all of those dictionary examples, there are other use cases for vouchers that we can cater for too. Also, by the way, our vouchers don't have to be printed on paper to be issued and redeemed. They can also be linked to accounts, but we'll get more into that a bit later. Now, generally speaking, vouchers in BPOS can be used as both a payment method and as a discount. So that dictionary definition comes back into play there again. And when I say used there, I mean that they can be created, issued, and redeemed, again, either as a payment or as a discount or a reprice, to look at it a different way. But in fact, we do support 4 distinct main types of vouchers. Firstly are going to be our discount vouchers, which will discount or reprice products. So we've got several different sort of subtypes of these that we'll go through, but think of things like a certain percentage discount or an exact monetary value off, or a voucher that can be redeemed for a free product. So those are some quick examples of our discount vouchers, but we'll get more into those in a few minutes. Then we've also got, promotional vouchers, meaning that they are linked to a promotion from the system. If we think back to earlier in the course when we looked at marketing and promotions and we went over voucher price promos and multi-buy promos, we can actually link vouchers to both of those types of promotions so that the promotions are activated not by a schedule, but rather through the redemption of a voucher. We'll get into some examples of those later. Then we do have a couple of voucher types that are quite different than the others, and those are going to be gift certificates and credit notes, both of which can be used not for discounts per se, but actually as direct payment methods once they've been issued. But yeah, those are our 4 main classes, if you will, of vouchers. That's probably enough of a quick explanation. I think you understand the premise of what vouchers are and what they can be used for. And if you're still not 100% sure just yet, that's okay too. As we go through our configurations and go through some demos, we should clear up any questions or concerns that you might have. So what we'll do is we'll jump into back office and we'll take a look at those settings. Alright, now before we get into the setups for vouchers themselves, we should actually review some of the system-wide voucher configurations that will come into play. Also, so some of these we've looked at in the past, so this will be a slight review, but if we start with global settings, in the general section, we have our voucher lookup drop down. I believe we've gone through this in the past, but we can see that there are 6 options here, all 10 digits in length. This is used to define the format that will be used when vouchers are auto-generated in the system. So these are all different combinations you can see of V's, N's, and C's, where V's are venue IDs, N's are sequential numbers that the system uses from one voucher to the next, and C's are what are referred to as check digits in the system. So just set that to whichever you'd like, and the system will consistently then use that format when vouchers are created. The number that's created for each voucher issued can then be used to look up the voucher in the system. That's referred to as the voucher lookup number. So that way vouchers can be looked up even without the physical printed voucher available. I'll leave this as is, and you'll see later when we get into some demos how those will look when they are generated. For now, let's move on. Over here in the multi-venue section, we do have a flag here called Vouchers Get from HO, which is for head office, of course. Now, I know I've said in the past that we won't get into too much involving multi-venues in this course, but this is the only voucher-related setting here for multi-venues, at least in this multi-venue section, and it is very important. So in multi-venue systems, this flag will require that all voucher data be retrieved from the head office, meaning that if remote venues are not connected to the head office, vouchers will not be able to be used in them. So very important to take that into consideration there. If we move on to the flags tab, we've got a couple that are related to vouchers here. I'm pretty sure we've gone over these before, but that's okay. It doesn't hurt to review. So the first is going to be prompt to redeem account vouchers. So we've gone over accounts previously, and what we'll see today is that vouchers can be issued directly to accounts. So with this flag turned on, which it is here in this database, and I'll leave it on, when an account is active in a transaction and a product is on the transaction that they have a voucher for, one that's attached to the account, the operator will be prompted to redeem that voucher for the product. So we'll go through an example of that later, but like I said, I'll leave that flag on. Then we have another voucher related one down here called reissue a partial used voucher. If it's on, and a voucher that carries a balance, such as a gift voucher or a credit note, is only partially redeemed, a new docket with the updated available balance will be reissued. For example, if someone has a $100 gift voucher and they use $70 of it, the system will issue an updated voucher with the $30 remaining, the remaining balance there. However, if for whatever reason we do not want that to happen, we could turn this flag off and the remaining balance would then be forfeited. But if I jump over to the other names tab, just want to point out that we also have custom fields for vouchers here. I don't have any set up, and we won't go through custom fields today. You may recall our crash course on custom fields from previous in the course. So they're set up the same way for vouchers and similar principles involved, just some different use cases when it comes to vouchers, of course. But yeah, just wanted to make sure that you were aware that custom fields do exist for vouchers too. But we will close out of our global settings. We'll head to our venue settings. There's one setting here that will maybe make a bit more sense later, but that's okay. We can check it out for now, and I think you'll understand it anyway. And that is going to be this credit note voucher dropdown, which won't have anything in it yet, aside from the option that says do not use credit notes. But once we do have a voucher setup created that uses the credit note voucher type, which we'll see in a few minutes, we'll be able to add it here at the venue level, and that'll be used whenever credit notes are issued in the venue if the venue would like to use credit notes rather than give a cash refund. Now, since this is at the venue level in multi-venue environments, each venue can use a different voucher setup when credit notes are being issued, which can be useful for reporting and for tracking purposes. Now, one final broader consideration, or considerations I should say, are going to be some operator privilege flags. So if I open any operator here, we'll just go with master setup, and we check out the marketing and promotions tab. We do have some separate flags that control the ability to maintain voucher setups and to issue/edit vouchers. So those will of course need to be on for an operator, respective of those things, and if they'll need to be able to do either of those. Alright, system-wide setups aside, we'll get into some voucher setups themselves now. So when we looked at marketing and promotions components previously, you may have spotted this voucher setup option in here. As we've come to expect, given that this is a new database, though there's nothing here yet, but this will be a list of all the voucher setups once they're created. Nothing out of the ordinary here though, some self-explanatory options along the top, and for the data columns in the list here too. But what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and add a voucher setup. There is quite a bit to get through in this form, but to streamline things as much as possible, let's first go over some general voucher settings and considerations before we get into each individual voucher type. So first things first, the voucher name is the voucher name. It'll be shown throughout the system wherever necessary so that the voucher type can be identified, although there are several instances where the voucher setup ID, which we can see will be shown in the voucher setup list, where that will be assigned by the system automatically, and certain cases where that ID will need to be used for the voucher setup rather than the voucher name. Then we've got an inactive flag, so we've gone over this concept numerous times in the past, although you may have noticed that we can delete voucher setups too, but there may be instances where we would simply like to temporarily make a voucher setup inactive rather than delete it altogether. It's important to note too that we also have a separate flag, Stop All Redeems, which is going to prevent redemption of any existing unredeemed vouchers that have been issued from this voucher setup. So even if a voucher setup is still active so that we can issue vouchers for it, we might temporarily want to prevent the vouchers for it from being redeemed. And I should stress the point that the inactive flag will prevent a voucher setup from being able to issue vouchers, while the Stop All Redeems, of course, is what will prevent its already issued vouchers from being redeemed. So just important to note the difference there. Speaking of redeeming vouchers, we may call it claiming as well, as kind of used interchangeably there. But we do have some claim considerations. So settings that will factor into where and when a voucher can be redeemed or can be claimed. It might seem like we're going a bit backwards here since we haven't yet looked at how to issue vouchers, but these redemption and claim settings do need to be considered when we are creating a voucher setup before they can be issued anyway. So firstly, we've got the claim location to think about, and that's where these venue and store drop-downs here are going to come into play. So these will control which venues and or stores where the vouchers that are issued from this voucher setup will be valid to actually be claimed. So if we would like to limit a voucher redemption at all, or at least from a location perspective, we would need to set these accordingly. Otherwise, we couldn't leave them just to set to all like they are going to be here by default. Then after deciding where this voucher setup's vouchers will be able to be redeemed, we need to consider the when. Now for that, we need to bear in mind both the schedule and any start and expiration types. Now it is very important to understand the difference between the voucher claim schedule and the start and expiration types. It's also important to note that neither the schedule or anything in this voucher details section here will have any bearing on when a voucher can be issued. As long as a voucher setup is active, vouchers can be issued for it. Simple as that. Now for the difference between the schedule and the start and expiration settings though, the schedule is going to apply to the voucher setup as a whole, whereas the start and expiration settings here in the voucher details section are going to apply to individual vouchers that are issued for this voucher setup. So we won't go through this scheduling component in detail. Again, we've gone through this in the past, and the same principles that we've seen apply for vouchers schedules too, but how any schedules apply to vouchers is that they will determine when any vouchers that have been issued for a voucher setup can be redeemed. For example, let's say that a voucher setup's claim schedule is set to Monday through Thursday from 5 to 10 p.m. So we go Monday through Thursday from 5 to 10 p.m. and I won't set any overall start and end dates here. We'll just leave those boundaries alone. But any vouchers that are issued for this voucher setup will then only be able to be redeemed on these days during this 5-hour time span. But then, so we might just have the one schedule set up there, but then we might set the start type here to, let's go with number of weeks, and we might configure that to 2 weeks. What that means is that a voucher that's issued today will not be able to be redeemed until 2 weeks from today, but still only within the bounds of that schedule. So after 2 weeks from today, the vouchers can be redeemed, but only Monday through Thursday between 5 p.m. and 10 p.m. And similar to that, but also essentially opposite to that, is that we can set an expiration type, which will determine how long after a specific individual voucher has been issued until it expires and can no longer be redeemed or claimed. So maybe we set that to 2 months. Then if we issued a voucher today using these setups, even though it cannot begin to be used for 2 weeks here, it will expire 2 months from today. The expiration type applies from the day that the voucher was issued. So we can think of this whole claim time, or when a voucher can be redeemed, in a 3-step process. First is going to be the voucher start configuration is going to be considered first. So the start type and the period that's been set here, that's going to set the initial bounds of possible redemption. In other words, when a voucher will first become active or activated. Then if the voucher is activated and can be redeemed per the start configurations, then the schedule or multiple schedules, if there are multiple, will be adhered to. And lastly, or step 3, will be the expiration configuration that will be taken into account. So the expiration type and the period that's been set for that, after which the voucher cannot be redeemed at all. Now in most cases, the idea is to drive guests to return and redeem a voucher as soon as possible. And yes, there is some room for human error here, where someone could mistakenly configure a voucher setup in a way that issued vouchers won't start until after they've expired. So something to be mindful of there, to try to not set up vouchers in that type of way. Anyway, a couple other quick notes on these settings. The start type of none would mean that vouchers will be active as soon as they're issued. And as you would have seen when I was configuring these, the options for the start type and expiration type range from number of minutes to number of years, or they can be set to an exact date or to today only if we would like to do that. Okay, considerations about where and when vouchers can be redeemed done. Then, still without getting into any specific voucher types, we do have a number of other general voucher settings that we'll go over quickly in the options section here. Do not print ticket, so kind of self-explanatory. A paper voucher ticket will not be printed. Different scenarios where we might not want to ever do that and have a paper ticket printed for a voucher, depending on the voucher type, and some of that will make more sense once we go through the voucher types. And then we can control that separately for accounts only with do not print ticket for accounts. So we might turn that on for all vouchers, since they'll be attached to the account anyway and they won't need a paper ticket to redeem those. Then we have some options here for prompt for lookup when sold and prompt for lookup when issued. So these would be used in instances where the physical vouchers, let's say, are already printed with a number on them. So think of gift certificates that are pre-printed and already have some sequential or maybe randomized numbers on them, rather than have the system create voucher lookup numbers for us when those vouchers are sold or issued. We want to prompt the operator to enter the number that's already pre-printed on the gift certificate when those are issued or sold. So that same type of instance is one where we would turn on the do not print ticket flag because we might already have those pre-printed. Next, we've got the option for display payment line. So we would turn this on so that when a voucher is redeemed, a payment line will show in the transaction window and on printed receipts. It's just going to be an indication that the voucher was redeemed and used towards the balance of the transaction. Now that does not apply to all voucher types, since discounts and gift vouchers are always going to display in print anyway, but we do have that option there for other voucher types. Then a very important one, limit 1 per transaction. That is going to refer obviously to voucher redemption. So if we'd like to limit so that only 1 voucher from this voucher setup can be redeemed in a single transaction, we would need to turn that flag on. There may be use cases for both wanting and not wanting to limit that, but we do have the option available if we'd like to. And lastly, we have use magnetic cards, which will mean that rather than print a paper voucher, the system will print and encode a magnetic card, of course assuming that the hardware and everything else is in place to do so. And by the way, that is only available when issuing and selling vouchers from back office, not when issuing or selling vouchers from SmartPOS. Alright, all of the general setup considerations behind us now, we can focus on our voucher types. Now, for most of these, there will be some additional settings that will appear dynamically down in the voucher details section. You can see as I tab through those that those are going to change. Some of those will be the same for similar voucher types, but what I'll do to save a little bit of time is I will stop the video here. I'm going to set up one of each voucher type, and then we'll go through each one individually and I'll explain all of the settings. Then we'll go through some demos. So I will see you in a second. Alright, there we go. So I've got those added. Now, by the way, now that we're in back office, I should point out which voucher types fall into which of the which broader categories that I mentioned earlier. So we've got our discount vouchers, which are going to be the discount amount and discount percent. So those two can be considered to be order discount voucher types, since the discount from the voucher will apply to the entire transaction. But then we do have 2 item discount voucher types. We've got items discount percent by sort or type, and we've got items discount amount by sort or type. Then for our promotion linked vouchers, we have product promo, auto product finalize, and multi-buy promo. Don't worry, I'll explain the differences between these in a couple minutes. And then of course we do have our gift certificates and our credit notes. So we'll start with our order discount ones. They're a little bit more straightforward than the others. So for our order discounts, I've done a discount amount voucher type here called $25 off weeknights sports bar, which we can see from the list. Actually, before I even open it, we can see from the list here is going to be limited to our No Hats, No Stars venue, and we can also see the redeem schedule over here in the list. Now, if I do open that up, we can go through the other particulars and settings that we've got set up for it. So for the claim venue and store, I've also got this limited to the No Hats, No Stars sports bar. So these vouchers that are issued for this voucher setup will only be able to be claimed at that one store. Then in the schedule here, we can see that has been configured with no overall start and end dates, but these vouchers will only be able to be redeemed Monday through Thursday from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. If I close that, there is no start type, so these vouchers that are issued for this voucher setup will be active straight away and then will expire 3 years from the date of issue. Now, a couple other things to point out though, pretty simple to configure. We just need to enter the actual amount of discount and then select the discount totalizer from the system that we want discounts from this voucher setup to report to. All the other discount voucher types have the order discount totalizer here to select also. And for all of our vouchers except for gift certificates and credit notes, we can set them for unlimited use, like I've done here. Now what that means is that vouchers that are issued for this voucher setup can be used over and over and over and over again, at least until the voucher expires or it's set to stop redeems. But as long as the vouchers are still active and we haven't turned on stop all redeems, customers will be able to use vouchers that have been issued from this voucher setup over and over again, meaning that someone could bring the same printed voucher back week after week or even multiple times a week, again, as long as it's within the configured schedule, and they can redeem that voucher time after time. Now, account holders will not need to bring anything in since the voucher will be attached to their account, and in fact, we will not even print vouchers for this setup when they're issued to accounts. And lastly, we do have this limited to 1 redemption per transaction. So that's a simple example of a discount amount voucher. And as for discount percent, I added this one called 10% off bistro lunch, which is equally as simple to set up. So one of the good things about these order discount voucher types is that they're pretty self-explanatory and customers will know exactly what they're getting. Now, one thing to keep in mind for them is that because they are order discounts and are obviously not linked to any individual items, that is going to impact reporting. Anyway, for this one, I do have this location limited, but in this case to the store group called bistro, or I meant to have that configured that way, not to the specific bistro. That way, if we do expand and we add more venues, maybe with other bistros that will all be assigned to the bistro store group, these vouchers will be able to be redeemed in those too. Now, no schedule for this one. It has been set to on permanently, but also no start type or expiration type. So they'll be active straight away and they will never expire. But no unlimited use, and they are limited to 1 per transaction. So some limitations in place, not a complete free-for-all. The only setting that we have not seen yet is this maximum discount, which is exactly what it sounds like. So this particular voucher setup will allow for a 10% discount that we've got configured here. Again, on the entire transaction, this is an order discount, but only up to a maximum of $50. All right, order discount voucher types done. On to the item discount voucher types. And for them, as I mentioned earlier, we also have an amount option and a percentage option. So for the percentage one, voucher type of items discount percent by sort or type, a bit long-winded there, but it gets the point across. I've created this one for 33% off of desserts on March 3rd. So how did I limit it to only desserts? Let's take a look. It's actually the only thing for these two voucher types that we have not seen yet, is that within the voucher details section, we have a filter type, which we can select from either sort group, type, or type group. And when we select one of those, the drop down beneath that is then going to change dynamically as well, depending on what we have selected there. So in this case, it is going to be showing all of the system sorts, and then I have that set to desserts. So pretty simple. Just keep in mind that for reporting purposes, the discounts from both this and the other item discount voucher type will obviously report as item discounts, not as order discounts. Cool. For the other item discount, I've created this items discount amount by sorter type for $5 off beverages, which I've set for unlimited. It's on permanently, has no start type and no expiration type, but it is limited to only the sort group of beverages, and it is limited to 1 per transaction. So once a voucher from this voucher setup is issued, a customer can use it again and again perpetually, of course, unless we do stop redeems for it. Okay, so that's all of our discount voucher types. So we'll check out some of the promo linked ones now. Now for these, we should actually go and look at the product promotions list, because I did need to create a few of these too. They are all using the, or most of them are using the voucher price promotion type. One of them is set up to use a multi-buy. But if we take a look at these, I've got one that's been set up for $10 off Chef Special. So it just has the key list added here with a $10 discount for those. And then I've got one that's been set up to reprice the BPOS lager bottles to $1 each. And I've got one that's set up for a free Coke from the bistro. Of course, it's not configured for only the bistro from here. That was, we'll see that in a second, how that's limited within the voucher setup. but it's just been configured here with that product and then a 100% discount. Should point out also, by the way, that the discount totalizer is going to be set for these here at the promotion level, which is why that does not and cannot be set within the voucher setup for these, as you'll see in just a second. But if we, speaking of which, if we go back to the voucher setup, I should mention also that for all of these promo linked vouchers, I have them all set for on permanently and with no start type or expiration type, so we can just focus on their use cases, not have to worry about when they will and won't be active and when they'll be scheduled to be available for redemption and that sort of thing. So the first one is going to be linked to that $10 off Chef Special promo. It is a pretty straightforward use case for this, which is using the product promo voucher type. And we can see here a little bit of a description. The selected product promotion will be applied to the current product on the till. So when it comes to redeeming these vouchers, the workflow is add the product to the transaction first, and then claim the voucher, and the discount will be applied. As far as the voucher details go, we can set a maximum discount, although that won't always be applicable depending on how the product promotion is configured, and then depending on which applied type is set here. In this case, I do have this set to every matching product in sale, but we have a handful of other options available here, so you can see why for this product promo voucher type, the voucher is going to be redeemed after products are added to the transaction. By the way, we can add and maintain the product promos right from the voucher setup window as a little shortcut if we'd like to. You can just click edit there and that'll pop up for us. Now, contrary to this voucher type, product promo, where products are, as I said, added to the transaction first, we do have these auto product and auto product finalize voucher types, which will actually add the products to the transaction when the voucher is claimed. So for this one, $1 BPOS lager bottle, which is auto product, we do not need to add the product first in the workflow from SmartPOS. In fact, we can see here, a little description, the selected product will be sold at the till using the product promotion. So as long as we've got the product promo added down here in the voucher details section, the product from the promo will be added to the transaction automatically. We do need to select that here as well, but that will be added to the transaction automatically using the discount or repricing that's been set up in the promo, again, when the voucher is redeemed. And we can also set the quantity of products to promo here. That's this quantity to give. So maybe rather than just one, we have the quantity set to 5 or 10. And in those scenarios, when the voucher is redeemed, that quantity of BPOS lager bottles in this instance would be added to the transaction automatically. By the way, we'll check out the workflow for that for this in SmartPOS in a little bit. Then below that, we have our free Bistro Coke, which is using the auto product finalize voucher type. We can see this is a bit different from the description here. The selected product will be sold at the till using the product promotion. Then it is finalized on cash. So the workflow for this is similar to the auto product, where we don't need to add the product first, and it will be automatically added when the voucher is claimed. But also when that happens, the transaction is going to be closed to cash straight away. So the use cases for this are something like what we've got here, where the customer redeems their voucher, the operator can either scan the barcode or select it from their account, and we'll see the different workflows for that later. The operator then just hands the customer their bottle of Coke, and that's that. There's nothing else that the operator needs to do at the till, since the transaction is going to be finalized automatically. Now, there are some other use cases out there for this voucher type, but this is a relatively straightforward one. I think that gets the point across here for how that will work, and we will see a demo of that later in SmartPOS too. Now, last up for our promo linked voucher types, we've got this multi-buy promo one, which is linked to our free cheesecake with tiger prawn multi-buy. You might remember that from a past lesson when we went over multi-buy promotions and how those were set up. But now if we look at the promo itself, no longer has a schedule at all. So the parameters, I'll leave that open for a second. So the parameters of the multi-buy will still need to be met. So the customer still needs to purchase 2 orders of our chilled tiger prawns to receive their 2 free slices of cheesecake. What a combo. So that's been set up there again as a refresher. 0 price for those, but they do need to purchase, mix and match in this case, 2 and 2. But now, again, there's no schedule for that. So now they need to have a voucher available in order to redeem that, in order to receive that promotion. Since it is no longer schedule based, it is voucher based now, using this voucher setup. Cool, that is it for our promo linked voucher type. So a couple of simple, straightforward examples there. Next up are going to be our gift certificates. These are pretty straightforward too, just a few different setup options, which is why I've got a few different ones created here. So this first one, it's just an open value gift certificate. So for the value of certificate here, that's set to 0 like I've done. The operator will be prompted at the till or from back office, if it's issued from back office, to enter the value when these are being sold or when they're being issued, however we want to look at that. We'll get into more of that with an example in a bit. And by the way, yes, we can set a schedule and a start type and expiration type for gift certificate, so if you'd like to do that. But yeah, that is all that's needed for creating a gift certificate voucher setup, is just entering a value of certificate here. Alternatively, we can of course create one with a specified value like this one for a $50 gift certificate. So very simple there. And by the way, I do have this one configured to prompt for lookup when sold or issued, because use case here is that we already have a stack of these pre-printed $50 gift certificates that have voucher numbers printed on them already, and we need to enter that number into the system when each one is being sold or issued. Now I say sold or issued because gift vouchers can actually be issued to account holders without selling them to them, but that's the difference there between prompt for when sold or when issued. And the when issued can also be turned on for other voucher types, but we could have that turned on for both gift certificates, or have both of those turned on for gift certificates, I should say. Now for our final gift certificate here, we have a neat little option we have is that we can sell a gift certificate for a different amount than its certificate value. We just need to turn on this different sale price flag here, and this enter sales price box will then appear. If I uncheck that, we can see that's gone. Turn that on, it reappears. In this case, the value of the gift certificate is going to be $100, but customers will only need to pay $75 for it. And we've got a stack of these pre-printed too, so these are also set up to prompt for lookup number. Okay, and last up, our final voucher type is credit note. So for this, again, we would set this up if rather than issue a refund, which is the system default, if we'd like to issue credit notes. So we do just need to have a voucher setup added for one. You can see there's nothing else added in the voucher details section here. We could still add a start type and expiration type if we'd like to, and set some options here. And if for whatever reason we'd like to set a schedule for when credit notes can be used, we can set that up. And we can set some claim limitations here for from the location perspective. So if we are in a multi-venue environment and we do create different credit notes per venue, we could then limit that per venue. Cool, and then again at the venue level, speaking of which, we would just need to assign that as the credit note voucher here. And since I do have that created now, I will be able to select that and save that. Okay, now I know we are starting to run long here. As I said at the start, there's quite a bit to go through, but now that we do have our vouchers created here, we've got 12 different ones. We do still have to go through some demos of the processes for issuing or selling the vouchers and then redeeming them. So I will try to keep the rest of this lesson as streamlined as possible so that we won't actually go through demos of each voucher type that I've created here, but we'll just look at issuing and redeeming vouchers from a broader perspective. Now when it comes to issuing vouchers, we do have a number of ways that we can do so, again both from back office and from SmartPOS. The reason to use one method over another may just come down to circumstances, but there are some advantages for one over another depending on the voucher type. Now SmartPOS is going to be convenient, obviously for front of house operators that's going to be the only way that they can issue vouchers, and that's often used for issuing gift vouchers, credit notes, and to print vouchers as part of prize promotions, which by the way we'll get into prize promotions in the next lesson. Then from back office there's some advantages. We can still issue or sell single vouchers from back office, but back office can also be used if we want to print large quantities of the same voucher setup, if say for example they're going to be distributed for a marketing campaign or something like that. Back office is also the preferred method for linking vouchers to accounts, since only certain voucher types can be linked to accounts from SmartPOS, but we'll see that when we get into some examples in a couple minutes. And in the case of credit notes, again, they will be issued automatically when processing a refund. Cool, now since we are already in back office here, we might as well run through some examples of issuing them from here first. So what we'll do first is issue one for this $5 off beverages. We'll be able to run through a claim demo in SmartPOS too, since this is on permanently and it's not limited to any stores. Now you probably noticed earlier this issue voucher button at the bottom. If I give that a click, I will first be prompted and asked if I'd like to link this to an account. This is very handy because, as a reminder, when vouchers are issued, whether from SmartPOS or from back office, if they're linked to an account, there is no need to print them. So I'll select yes for this one, and then in the next example, well, we won't link it to an account, but for this one we will. So of course we'll then need to select an account to link the voucher to. I'll go with our favorite account holder here, BYOB. We will then be prompted to enter the quantity of vouchers to issue. So this is where there's an advantage to doing this process from back office. If we were not linking this to an account, maybe we were just generating a stack of these vouchers to be handed out as coupons or something like that, we could enter maybe 100 or something else here. But since we are linking this to an account, I will just leave this as 1. This voucher type is, or this voucher setup is unlimited anyway, so I'll just leave that as 1. They'll be able to use this one time and time again. Then we will get a little confirmation prompt here showing the name of the voucher, the voucher type, the discount of it, the lookup number, which in this case is going to be auto-generated, and the account name that this is going to be linked to. So let's continue. And just like that, the voucher is created. We can see the voucher ID for it. That's again different than the voucher setup ID. We can see the voucher setup ID for this is actually setup ID number 4, but this is the first ever voucher that the system has created, so it's voucher ID number 1, but that is different than the lookup number, which we can see here also. Again, that is going to be based on the format that we've selected at the global level. But that's it. So since this is configured to not print for accounts, we are done. We can then view vouchers from here, which is going to generate a vouchers given report for us. And from here we can verify all the important details from voucher ID, date and time issued, lookup number, amounts, counts, values, etc. And by the way, we can also see this info from the account record, by the way. And from the voucher setup window, we can see some stats here also for the voucher setup overall. So we can see how many have been issued, how many have been claimed, the redemption rate, the number that are unclaimed, and we can see the value that's been claimed and unclaimed. All right, so we've got one issued to our account holder there. So for our next example, let's just, we'll sell one of these open value gift certificates. Maybe we only sell these open value ones from back office. So I will not link this one to an account, and I'll just do 1 again. And since this has been set up without a value, again, I will need to enter the value here. Let's go with, we've got some big spenders in, buying a $500 gift certificate from us. Confirmation prompt again, yes. And it is created just like that, we can see again the voucher ID and the lookup number that has been generated for that. Then, since this is not linked to an account and it is configured with the option to print, I am given the option to print, so let's do that. Just need to select the printer to print to. Of course, you might have some different printer hardware connected to your back office workstation, but I've just got these virtual printers, so I will just go with the receipt one. Oh, and I've got no printer formats set up for prize promotions. Let me fix that. Let's do that again. And let me pull the printer up. Cool, we can see that printed here. Now obviously, real world scenario, if this were printed from a physical printer, I could then give this voucher to a customer. Okay, a couple of back office examples there should be good for issuing vouchers. Just keep in mind that there could be some different workflows involved depending on the voucher details and the options that have been selected, such as being prompted for lookup numbers and so forth. But for some Smart POS demos, we will need to first head to our till function maps. We'll need to check out the function buttons that I've added to be able to issue and redeem vouchers from Smart POS. So for our function map here, I have got all of mine on extra panel 2, but of course, you can have them placed wherever you'd like them placed on your function map. That's up to you, or up to your database. They may be placed on a different panel altogether. You may not have them on an extra panel at all. You may be able to fit them somewhere else. Now we do have 3 functions that are related to vouchers. However, it is possible to have multiple of them, of course, on any given function map, just like I've got here. I've got a couple iterations of each. But first, I've got a couple of these issue vouchers till function buttons set up. So one will present the operator at the till with a list of the system's vouchers, and the other is configured using the item field here for issuing a voucher for a specific voucher setup. Now for both of them, I do have them configured to not prompt for a print format, which will just use that print format that I just set up a second ago, which is going to be used for printing those. And we also have the option here to not ask for an account to link them to, although notice that from the description that we can only link gift certificates to accounts from Smart POS. So I mentioned that earlier, that we do have some limitations there with being able to do that, because actually using this till function is just going to give gift certificates to accounts without charging them. If we want to sell a gift certificate from Smart POS, we do need to use this sell gift certificate till function, but these cannot be used to link a gift certificate to an account. So we cannot sell a gift voucher from Smart POS and link it to an account. However, we can issue and just gift a gift certificate to an account from Smart POS. What we can do for these though is we can configure them to either present the operator at the till with a list of available gift certificates that we've got set up in the system. Different voucher setups that we have that are the gift certificate voucher type, or we can sell them a specific one based on the voucher setup ID that we have entered here into the item field. So that's how I've got these two configured. We've got this one set up for our $50 gift voucher, and I've got this one set up for our $100 gift voucher that we sell for $75. Then for redeeming vouchers, we have a few different options. So first of all, we don't need to have a till function button set up for redeeming vouchers at all. If the till has an attached barcode scanner, we can just scan a voucher's barcode to be able to claim it. There's also instances where when we've got an account sale active, we could be prompted automatically to use an available voucher if there's one linked that will discount a matching product in the transaction. And we'll see an example of that in a couple minutes. But we do have some manual options too using this redeem voucher function. So we could have this preset with a specific voucher ID or a specific voucher lookup number. That's if there's literally one specific voucher out there that we want to create a function button for. But there are some use cases for that, for unlimited use vouchers actually. But I do have this one configured with none of that, so that way at the till, the operator will just be prompted to enter the lookup number, unless if there's an account sale that's happening, the operator will be presented with a list of all the accounts linked to vouchers at that time, and we will see that in a minute. But we could have one of these set up like this, where for accounts, specifically for accounts, we can see this is accounts only. We can configure this with a specific voucher setup ID, and then if the account has one of those vouchers linked, it will be claimed automatically. Now for this example, I've got this set up for the auto product finalize free Coke voucher. If we go back to our voucher setup list, we can see that it does have voucher setup ID number 7 for our free Coke. And what I'll do actually is so that I can use this voucher in our example is I'll turn off the location limitation here. But yeah, I do have that assigned as the sub item here. So what will happen is as long as the account has one of those linked, I can just use, or an operator can just use this button to claim it from SmartPOS. It'll add the Coke to the transaction and it will finalize it to cash, all with just one button press just by selecting that. Cool, that covers it for our back office setup. So let's head to SmartPOS. We'll issue a couple more vouchers from there and then we will redeem some. Alright, so from SmartPOS here, if we go to our vouchers panel or extra panel 2 that's been set up with all these, we'll go with issue voucher first. And again, I've got that set up so that it's going to present us with the list. And what we'll do first is issue one of these 33% off desserts ones. And we'll be presented with, or we'll be prompted rather, to enter the number of vouchers to issue. So similar workflow to what we encountered from back office. And a confirmation prompt. And cool, just like that, that is going to print our voucher for us. We can see the name of the voucher here, the barcode that we can scan. Again, if we have an attached barcode scanner when it comes time to redeem this, we can see the lookup number, and we can also see the start date, so when this will be activated, and the expiration date, again, based on the start type and the expiration type that have been configured within the voucher setup. So next, let's issue one of the, I'll use this till function here that we've set up specifically for that voucher type ID for that chef special one. And again, we'll be prompted to enter the number to issue, and confirmation prompt again. But just like that, we do not need to select that from the list because that till function button has been set up specifically for that voucher setup ID, and that is going to be printed right away for us, so we could hand that off to a customer. And again, has all of the important things there for us, the voucher lookup number and the barcode so that we can scan it. Can even see the maximum discount shown here for us. Now for issuing a gift voucher from SmartPOS, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and sell this that $100 one that is going to be charge for $75, and we can see that's listed up here. Now because this has been configured for us to enter the lookup number, again in our scenario here we've got a stack of these printed already, so we'll say the next one up for us is going to be just has some randomized number here. We do need to have at least 5 digits entered for this, so I'll just enter a bunch of random numbers there as our lookup number. And we can see there, again, a little confirmation prompt. We'll see the lookup number there. We can see the amount that this gift certificate will be for, and we can see the selling price is different from that. Again, that's how we have that voucher set up configured. So select that. You can see that that has been issued. It's been added to the transaction. We do still need to pay for that. Cool, so now we've seen a few examples of issuing vouchers both from back office and SmartPOS. What we can do now is we can redeem some. Now again, there is a number of different methods that we can use to redeem vouchers from SmartPOS. We can use till function buttons if we've got those set up. We can enter a voucher number. We can scan a barcode. If there's an active account sale, we can select from the list of the accounts linked vouchers. By the way, vouchers can be redeemed on non-table transactions, so standard retail transactions. They can be redeemed on tables, on split tables, on bistro, so on and so forth. Now keep in mind, or I haven't mentioned this yet, but it's important to keep in mind that a voucher is only considered to be redeemed, so fully redeemed, once it's been applied to a transaction and that transaction is finalized. So if a voucher is added to a transaction, so we'll say scenario here, we've got some products added to the transaction, we scan the voucher barcode to be claimed, but then we cancel that transaction, that voucher will not be redeemed. It can still be redeemed. Cool, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop the video again. I'm going to issue a bunch of different vouchers to an account holder. Again, because I don't have a barcode scanner here, I'm not going to be able to actually scan any barcodes for vouchers that have been redeemed. And just to sort of streamline the process for us so that I don't have to enter the lookup numbers for vouchers to be redeemed, I'm just going to issue a bunch of them to an account holder, and then we'll see some different workflows for redeeming those. So I'll be back in just a second. Alright, so that's been done. I've issued a handful of different voucher types or different voucher setups to our account holder here. Now what I'll show you first is what would happen if we go to, without attaching an account first. If I go to our vouchers till functions and we go to redeem a voucher using this till function that's been set up without any configurations there, and we will just be prompted in that case to enter the voucher lookup number. So in a scenario where maybe we do have a physical voucher in front of us that a customer has brought in, but we do not have a barcode scanner, we could manually enter the voucher lookup number in. Now again, I'm not going to do that for any of our examples, but just letting you know that is an option there for us. Also, if we do have any till function buttons that have been set up for redeeming an account, or redeeming a voucher I should say, and there is nothing active, or let's say we enter in a wrong voucher number here, just enter some random number in here, it's going to just let us know that the voucher has not been found or is invalid there. Okay, now if we do go ahead and add an account holder, and we go back to our vouchers, now obviously the function panel here has changed to our account function panel, but I've got a panel selection function button that's been added here to take us to our vouchers panel anyway. Now if we go ahead and use that same voucher till function button that's been set up there, which again, when there's no account attached, is going to prompt us to enter the lookup number. In this case, we will be presented with a list of the vouchers that have been linked to this particular account. From this list, we can see the voucher lookup numbers, we can see the voucher name, we can see either the value or quantity, or if they're unlimited, but we can see the amount or quantity that's unclaimed there, or if it's unlimited, we can see that here. Now for this one, because this is the multi-buy linked promo, that's really going to only be active when those parameters of the multi-buy promotion have been met within a particular transaction as well. We can see the dates that these have been issued or given, and we can see the expiration dates if they do have any. So I'll cancel out of that. What we'll do first is I will add a couple of drinks here for our account holder, and we will use one of our vouchers that I've issued to them for their $5 off beverages. Now this is unlimited again, so they could use this over and over again, and this doesn't expire. So I'll go ahead and select that there. We will be prompted for a reason for this discount because we've got that set up in the system to ask for a reason code. So I'll just say that this is a manager approved manual discount. Sure, there we go. And just like that, we have our $5 discount from that voucher that has been applied, and we can see that's been prorated there amongst the 3 different beverages that had been added to that transaction in that case. Now if we were to go back to their voucher list, actually I'll just close this out first. If we were to re-add that account holder and we go back to their list of accounts, we can see that is still going to be there. That's the same voucher lookup ID, the same exact voucher that we just redeemed, but because that's set up for unlimited, it is still there for them to use again and again. Now another example that I'll show you is that if we add some products to an account or to a transaction with this account attached, that has some matching products in it that match to a voucher, I should say, that we will be automatically prompted to use one of those vouchers that they've got linked for them. If we look back at the voucher list for 1 second, we can see that I did assign them one of those voucher setups, or I should say a voucher for that voucher setup that's linked to Chef Specials to provide $10 off of those. So if we go ahead and then add a Chef Special, so we'll add one of the products that is within that key list that's been added to that promotion setup that's then been added to the voucher setup, and we'll see what happens here. So when I've added that, because the account is attached to the sale and they have a linked voucher, we're going to be prompted here, letting us know that the account has a valid voucher for that product and asking us if we would like to redeem that. We could view details for that voucher, which is going to just show us that little window there. We could have skipped that and not redeemed that if the account holder would like to maybe hold on to that voucher for another time. But if we go ahead and select that, or we could have clicked the redeem button on the previous screen, that is going to apply that for us. So another example that I'll show you is the auto product example that we had set up in back office. So not the auto product finalize, we'll get to that next, but the auto product one, which we don't need to add the product first for these ones. If I just select the account and we go to their list of vouchers that they've got available, if we use this one that we had created for the $1 BPOS lager bottles and go ahead and select that, it is going to automatically add that product to the transaction and give it its promotion. So that's automatically been added for $1, and we could go ahead and just close that off. They've handed us our dollar, they're on their merry way. Another example will be the auto product finalize. So if we go back to our voucher list here, well, actually we don't need to go to the voucher list here, that's right. I've got a till function created that is set up specifically for that voucher setup, and that voucher setup type. So all I need to do once I have added the account to this transaction is just select that button. That product has been added to the transaction and it's been closed out straight away to cash for $0. It is as simple as that. One final example I'll show you if I add the account one final time. And in this instance, I will just add some products. And we will go ahead and redeem one of the gift vouchers that they have, that I've assigned to them, that I have issued to them, I should say. So we've got this one, I think that amount was for over $50, so we'll use this one that's got $100 unclaimed on it. Cool, and we can see just like that, that has been redeemed, zero change for them. So what happens to the rest of that? Now, if you remember from earlier in the lesson when we looked at those setups in back office, we do have our system here configured to reissue any unused amounts of gift vouchers. So if we go ahead and add that account holder one final time, we go ahead and look at their list of vouchers again, we can see that they have $13 left unclaimed on that voucher. We can also see that that was reprinted here for us with the $13 new value. Cool. Now, while we haven't been able to go through every single possible workflow and scenario related to vouchers in this lesson, we're very much running long on this one, so we'll wrap it up here. We've certainly covered quite a bit, hopefully enough that you're able to create some voucher setups on your own and issue and redeem some to test in your own systems. Also, we didn't get a chance to look at much in the way of voucher tracking and reporting, but we do have a couple options for that from back office. We were able to see the stats that we can see from the voucher setup window, and we were able to see the vouchers given report, or at least a brief example of that. But yeah, we do have that sort of stuff documented in my BPOS for you, but some pretty straightforward reporting and tracking available for vouchers. But yeah, we will have to wrap it here. As always, thanks for your time and thanks for your attention, and we'll see you for the next one.